What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys have an amazing day so far. Like always, if you're new to the channel, I want you guys to hit the thumbs up, and only if I brought value to you guys through this video. We're in the video. I want you guys to hit the subscribe icon. For today's video, I want to talk to you guys about the selling process of my first property. Now, I did not obviously sell this one as a realtor. This is my primary residence that I ended up actually selling as an investment home in a sense. Now, the goal for this house when I initially purchased it was for me to kind of do upgrades to it, and then it ended up selling it within 5 to 10 years. So I was looking to make the gains that I'm currently making on this house within 5 to 10 years. But I ended up making it, thanks to everything that's going on right now, within technically just 2 years and a half. So thankfully for me, I got very lucky in a sense, but at the same time, I want to kind of break down some of the seller's cost of ownership and or the selling process of selling a house, especially right now with the virus and everything else going on. So stay tuned for the full number sets on how much it's going to cost me roughly, how much it really cost me for me to sell this house, listen in the markets, pretty much pay the realtor fees and everything else when it comes to down to it. So overall, the house total source of income or passive income that ended up bringing into me was a total of $130,000. Well, $135,418.70. That is how much money I got after paying the realtors, the taxes, pretty much paying off the mortgage loan that I had on the house and everything else. So what I pocketed at the end of the day was a total of $135,418.70. Now I'm gonna do also an additional breakdown at the end of the video in regards to what it actually cost me over the period of me paying the mortgage, the interest on the house, the maintenance on the house, the upgrades that I have done so far over the period of the 2 year that I lived here, and then how much really I ended up pocketing out of out of this deal in a sense. So, but to start, what I kind of have to deal with in regards to the sale of the house, which I know some of you are planning to list your house and kind of like wondering how it works and stuff like that. Right off the bat, I will tell you there is a lot of fees that I did not think about. Now I knew I need to pay taxes on some of the sales. I knew I needed to do the escrow and the title companies, and I obviously knew the realtor sale price. I did not realize that some of the fees for realtor was going to be up to 6%. So thankfully for me, on the sale of this house, I only paid 5.5%. It was kind of like an upside for me that I saved 0.5%, which it might not be your side of the deal in a sense. So expect to pay roughly about 6% of the total overall price of the house towards the realtor, unless of course you decide to do your own real estate license and decide to represent yourself. So besides the points, at the end of the day, I ended up roughly paying between the two. One of the realtor received $19,500 because they obviously keep 3% of the deal, and then the other one received the 2.5% of the deal, which ended up being $16,250. So overall, that's quite a bit of money. That's almost $30,000 right there that just went poof. Well, a little bit over $30,000 that kind of went just poof. So when you think about it, those are things that you have to pay for. There's no way around. Even me going into real estate, I'm not saying this because obviously that money is going to come towards me, but it's just realistically speaking, you have to pay those sales because otherwise it's not going to happen. So that is one thing that I had to pay off for sure. The second one that had to come into play as well was the title charges, the government recording, and the additional settlement charges. So this is not something I expected to be so many charges in a sense, because all those together came up to be about 15 different charges to a total roughly about $6,671.50. A huge amount for title, government taxes, and just kind of overall city and county information being passed from myself to the buyers. So that is a huge charge that I did not actually think about, but because I honestly expected title to only be $1,000, not just a full set of charges. But overall, it's still pretty good. Now we did make a deal on for the buyers when they decide to buy the property, because the property did need quite a bit of maintenance. So I decided to sell it as it was. So kind of give you guys an overview. The windows are from the 80s. The whole kitchen and everything, pretty much everything is within the house is from the 80s. The roof, the windows, the kitchen aspect, except for the actual appliances. The appliances are fairly new, they're only 2 years old. So, but everything else is very old. The paint on the house has a lot of different colors. Let's put it that way. So it's still a beautiful house. I maintained the house very well. It was more of just kind of like minor cosmetic stuff. So the buyers did request for a $5,000 credit in order for them to repaint the interior of the house, and really just for them to do just general maintenance for the inside of the house. But other than that, it came down to $5,000 that was credited to them. So the selling price for the house was roughly about $650,000, and I did buy it for about $450,000. But after I did refinance and stuff like that, it ended up being about $462,671.11, with obviously the sale price of $650,000, which, like I said earlier, was a total of $135,416 that ended up in my bank account. Now, to break down the entire thing, because a lot of you are going to say, oh, but that was your primary residence, so you didn't really make anything on that. That is correct to a certain aspect, but not 100%. Because when you think about it, if I was to rent this house anywhere near here, it would be roughly about $2,500 to $3,000 a month. So if I would be paying $3,000 a month, my mortgage was nowhere near that. That's right off the bat. I can tell you right now, my mortgage was not that. Split all the numbers here on how much I spent on mortgage. Obviously, the mortgage comes with the interest rate on the house. I did not calculate the power or pretty much electricity, the internet, or the water, mostly because no matter what house you go to, you're gonna have to have that sort of expense. So at the end of the day, I did not calculate that on there. You can, obviously expect roughly here in California would be about $200 for electricity and about $100 for water every single month. No matter what house you go to, when it comes to like 1,300 square foot, that's roughly the average price you're looking at. And then for my internet, obviously internet varies based on whatever you specifically prefer. So that is something I did not calculate on that. But overall, with just the mortgage and then the upgrade that I have done to the house, which was adding an AC unit, because the house does get extremely hot, even though we are by the ocean. The house does get hot during the summertime, especially between noon to about 3 p.m. It gets up to like 80 degrees in the house, and I am working from home, so it could be very, very hot in the house at one point because of my computer set. So I decided to buy an AC unit, which cost me roughly about $9,940 roughly, so pretty much $10,000. I rounded that up. But with that being said, so the $10,000 for the AC units, and then the mortgage for everything that I spent over the past technically 2 years and a half, almost 3 years now, was roughly came out to be $96,730. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the sale on the house was $135,418. So overall, the actual earning on the house, if you account me paying the mortgage on the house as a loss, was $38,688.70. When you think about it, I made pretty much what I made in the military in 1 year back on just the sale of this house. So realistically speaking, I still up pretty much $40,000 on this house, even despite paying the mortgage and paying everything else. But realistically speaking, when you think about I'm getting all that money that I put into the house back into my pocket, I really didn't lose anything out of this sale. So it was, I was pretty much blessed when it comes down to this year, because I know the market is an anomaly in a sense. It's not something that happens every single year. So it's don't expect to be, making 100% on the house that you just recently bought to be the same thing within 5 years. Because usually when you buy a house, I would highly recommend for you to expect to sell within 5 to 10 years if that's going to be your goal. So rent it in between that time frame and then make your money on the sale within 5 to 10 years. But don't expect a rate of return within 2 years like I have received within this house, because it's not realistic. Now, I did do the math. If I were to do redo the roof, redo the painting on the house, redo the kitchen, a lot of different minor things that I need to be done within the house, I will be looking roughly about $32,000 in maintenance / upgrade cost. And I would be able to list the house at that point at about $680,000, and possibly looking at getting about $685,000 to $690,000. Now, those houses within this area that are selling within that price range within the same square foot aspect are actually going down in value. Some of those houses are ended up selling roughly about $675,000 to $670,000, meaning that if I were to do all those upgrades and then list the house to sell, I will actually end up losing some money. So I choose to actually not do any other upgrades and just keep it the way it was, and just kind of like not take an additional risk that I did not need to take. And you know, at the end of the day, I'm happy with the sale of the house, but I do want to talk to you guys about some of the things that you want to deal with, or you're going to have to deal with when it comes down to selling of the house. The number one was probably the amount of cleaning that I had to do. Now, I do have two dogs, two big dogs in the house, and I do have cats and stuff like that. So I had to clean the house pretty much every single day, all day long, because obviously I had people coming in and out of the house, exploring the house. Some people like pets, some people don't like pets. So you got to keep that in mind. Some people are allergic to pets. So you want to make sure that the house is properly clean and the pets are out of the house when they come in. So we listed the house for sale on a Friday, and ultimately the actual house ended up being on the market slash having an open house on a Saturday slash Sunday time frame. And it honestly was pretty hectic. Despite the whole virus aspect of things and everything else was going on, I had close to 250 people come in and out of the house during that time frame. And it's pretty stressful if you think about it. For between 4 hours for 2 days in a row, having about 250 people come in and out of the house and receiving multiple offers, you know, listening to people talk about different things. Now, I know some of you are saying like, why are you even in the house doing open house? Well, I was going to be a realtor, so I kind of wanted to have that experience. You don't have to be inside the open house. You don't have to deal with any other stuff. I chose to be doing those things, and obviously, you know, I was giving the green light by the realtor slash, you know, everything else, the individuals being here. So I decided to do that and kind of just seeing and kind of having the perspective of what it is to deal with that. And you know, so obviously if you're kind of someone that's like not very thick-skinned and you don't like what people say about your house, or don't like what people might criticize about the place in general, you might not be there, because obviously some people were very, you know, vocal about obviously the different colors within the rooms, and you know, the house. So like I said, the paint is not the same everywhere, so there's a lot of different paint within the house. There's yellow, there's orange, and then obviously the rooms are grayish. So there's like different colors, and some people just didn't like the color of the house, which is perfectly acceptable, perfectly fine. Everybody's right to their opinion. So that is something that you have to think about. That's, you know, the house needs some maintenance. So I was very understandable about, you know, what the people want and all those things. But at the end of the day, we still had quite a bit of offers in regards to the house, but we decided to go with this one offer. But overall, the actual sale of the house was fairly easy in a sense. Now, obviously, you need to get yourself a realtor that can do their job properly and ultimately guide you and help you throughout the process. So that is something that I would highly recommend for anyone doing this, is ensure that you get yourself someone that you trust, someone that can, you know, guide you step by step, especially if you're someone that, you know, can very get anxious or stressed, and then you have obviously kids, or you potentially have someone else that needs some help, that you might, you know, need that additional comfort in a sense. So make sure you get someone that can help you with all those things, and make sure that they guide you properly throughout the process. But without further ado, if you have any questions in regards to this video, make sure you go down in the comment section. Let me know what you guys think. And without further ado, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching.